Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bit of drama going on in the Star Wars fandom. Which, to start off with, I want to acknowledge James Earl Jones' passing. It is a very sad day for the fans of Star Wars and the fans of many other series. Not only was he a wonderful person, he had a wonderful voice. So much so that it took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out what he looked like, which, in my defense, I knew him from Darth Vader and I had seen Lil Annie. So, I mean, congratulations on Anakin pulling a successful reverse Michael Jackson, but that did catch me off guard. Now, as for the fandom drama, it has been between two channels primarily, which is Star Wars Theory and Star Wars Explained. Now, that's not to say it's where it started, that's just where it's at this moment in time. So, let's get into what actually happened. So, for a bit of background, Acolyte Season 2 was canceled. As a result, there was a petition to save Season 2, which is currently sitting under 75,000 signatures the last I checked, which was, I think, yesterday. And that was started on August 20th, so over about 20 days, it's under 75,000 signatures. For reference, in order to get Amazon to offer plastic-free packaging, the petition took 784,000 signatures. For UPS to install air conditioning on trucks, it was 1.3 million, and to have the show Manifest run a fourth season was 95,000 signatures. So obviously that last one seems the most direct, so to address that, again, this was a show that already had 3 seasons, which meant it had been approved twice before, and they were just killing off the last one. And in order to get the last one out, it took 95,000 signatures. So at this point, I don't expect 75,000 to move the Acolyte into accepted status when it was killed off Season 1. However, what this petition has done is kicked off a string of YouTube videos and comments over on X, basically mocking the petition, specifically in reference to the part where it's not believed this petition will succeed at all. And eventually this would lead to Amanda Stenberg, the lead actress, to make a comment about how there was a rampage of bigotry and vitriol against specifically her, which, for reference, is extremely normal for actors and actresses regardless of how well received anything is. I assure you, Robert Downey Jr., at the height of being Iron Man, still got hate comments. It is part of being a public figure. I am in no way condoning those kinds of comments, but they are a fact of life. If you've been on the internet for more than a week, someone's gonna be yelling at you. It's a fact of life of the internet, and public figures get more of it. It's just how it is. Now, Amanda's comments would end up kicking off a counter campaign against this from the Rewriting Ripley podcast. The only thing relevant here is that they created a template request to YouTube. Basically, something that you could copy and paste into your own profile and post that at Team YouTube, and it was a 2-page thing. So, just to make it easier for people to post and tell YouTube, hey, this is what we think. Now, I will put this petition up so that you can read it. I'm not going to go word for word over it, but I'll go over details of it later. Right now, the relevant part is that it names specific channels and requests that they be demonetized. And Theory is directly named in this letter. And his subscriber count is referenced, which is a huge number. 3.3 million is a lot. And then on the second page, it has action required. Not requested, required. And that required action is that YouTube demonetizes the entire channel. And not just Theories, several of them, all of the ones on their list, but they are requesting all of those channels are fully demonetized. And at the end of that first paragraph in the action required, there is a threat to YouTube in the form of the sentence, "This should be highly concerning to advertisers as well." So we'll get into a bit more of that later, but understand that is a very big deal to mention the advertisers in the first place. And this is a written out template thing to be posted at YouTube constantly. And from here, Star Wars Explained picks it up. So specifically, it's Molly Damon, the wife of the guy on the channel for Star Wars Explained. She is on the channel, and obviously as a married couple, and for Star Wars drama related reasons, this gets referred to as Star Wars Explained, just kind of in general. And frankly, nothing happens for a couple of days, and then Theory puts out a video. And it is a 37-minute video response. And in this video, he references emails and conversations from in the past and whatnot, as well as tweets from the current day. And this kicks off a storm. So the original petition to YouTube does kick up some dust. I'm not trying to say it doesn't, but at the same time, there's 5,000 petitions on X and everywhere else every day. It kicks up some dust, but not a whole lot. And since YouTube eventually responds with saying there's nothing in the channels they can demonetize, there's nothing they can do to remove the videos, basically it would have settled down, nothing would have happened. But Theory has responded, and now it's drama in the fandom, and it starts going ballistic. So, and as time goes on, people obviously express their support for one side or another, and as I look at the two channels to see how that support plays out, there's something curious to me. See, all of the support pushed towards Star Wars Explained is of the, oh, you're all so wonderful, we love you, you've done a great job in the past, you're a wonderful channel, basically. However, over on Theory's side, there are apologies for not speaking up, and people sending things such as, here is what is occurring right now, basically applying evidence to what he said. And that's what sways my opinion on this. So to be frank, at the start of this, it's one channel says one thing, one channel says the other. This is a he said, she said moment. I don't think any real action should be taken. By and large, let this just kind of play out and people go where they want to go. No need for any administrative action. And currently, I don't particularly think administrative action is an appropriate response either here. Not yet, at least. So basically what will happen is this will burn its way through the fandom. At some point, all the dust will settle, and the fans will, by and large, decide whether they want to believe one side or the other, or just walk away from it all. And that will be the end of it. And that's perfectly fine. It's very difficult to identify what the truth is nowadays, especially with AI and whatnot. And just because Theory has brought certain things as receipts doesn't mean they can't be edited. And just because Explained has thrown out certain things as accusations doesn't mean they couldn't be falsified. So as the administrative position for YouTube, I think YouTube should just sit it out. You know, there's currently no legal action running around at all, so no need to get involved unless something is directly in violation of terms of service. And a petition to say someone should be demonetized is, as far as I can tell, not directly against YouTube's terms of service, though I think it is skirting it. And as long as that's the case, Theory's response video, there's no way you can call that targeted harassment either. He's responding to a letter about it. So just to reiterate what I've said so far, so anyone who wants to walk out at this point can, there was a petition begun by a podcast called Writing Ripley, intending to demonetize certain channels. This petition named Star Wars Theory along with a few other channels. It was reposted, i.e. picked up by Molly, who is the wife of the Star Wars Explained channel, and had his support. And Star Wars Theory made a response video since he was specifically named in it, ending up in kicking off a bunch of drama in fandom, basically. So if you want to head off here, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to go back over the petition in a bit more detail and point out a few more things in the intervening drama as well. So for the petition, that sentence I highlighted, this should be highly concerning to advertisers as well, is a direct threat to YouTube. If there is a violation of YouTube's terms of service, that's it. What this is saying is, if YouTube doesn't demonetize these channels, the Rewriting Ripley podcast and presumably whoever reposts the petition is going to go find everyone that advertises on YouTube, call them up, and tell them to stop advertising on YouTube. Essentially, it's trying to turn YouTube's decision into a monetary calculation, saying either demonetize these particular channels and take whatever financial hit that implies, or we will make you take a bigger one by removing advertiser funding. That is egregious. And in that regard, any channel that is listed to be demonetized, which is primarily 3 channels, but does, I would argue, include Theory in that list, has an argument to say that this is a legal case, that this can be filed as defamation. Now, as I said before, defamation is extremely difficult to prove as a public figure, in part because not only does someone have to lie about you, it has to be damaging. And someone walking up and saying that a public figure has done X terrible thing typically doesn't result in any real damages, and it doesn't really stand a chance to either. So you can't sue some dude walking up and saying, you got drunk on the sidewalk and your image is being pristine and you're anti-alcohol. As if that never gets picked up, never goes anywhere, you can't really sue the guy for defamation. This petition has clearly gone somewhere and has a direct call to damage the individuals involved in it, specifically by demonetizing. Again, to reference Theory's subcount, it's 3.3 million in there, and he specifically references 3.33 million, and I don't know any channel at that size that has a second job. Every channel at that size that I know of, YouTube is their only job. So if you demonetize that channel, you are functionally taking away their entire livelihood. And by and large, I just think that's egregious, and you should not attempt to do that. Not unless you are dead certain of whatever you're accusing them of. And on this petition, all of the accusations are extremely out of context quotes. One of which is, quote, one of the most hideous characters of all time. Which is an opinion, and people are allowed to have opinions. There's nothing racist about an opinion. Well, at least not that particular opinion. Also, not a quote about the actress, quote about the character. So, at this point, if you can't tell, I am on Theory's side on the grounds that this petition is utterly ridiculous. It is basically peak cancel culture, and cancel culture should just hurry up and die off. I understand every now and then a particular person may need to be removed from a fandom or some situation at large. It needs to be done on clear and obvious guidelines and rules. So, for example, if one of these channels said Amandla should die, then alright, fine, that person can get removed. But saying a character is hideous and horribly written is not harassment of an actress. Next up, the thing I want to address is the initial post over from Rewriting Ripley, or at least one of them, which is when that particular channel says, the Star Wars fandom demands action. First off, shut up. I assure you, Rewriting Ripley does not represent me. And secondly, I don't know of a single fandom united behind anything right now. While I may not be the fastest about making the RWBY content, I can tell you that fandom, the only thing they were ever quote-unquote universally behind is the concept that shipping should exist. They could never even agree on the ships. So the absolute audacity of these people to claim they represent the entirety of the Star Wars fandom ticks me off immediately. And then next, for the responses to Theory versus the responses to Explained, the ones to Theory, having people apologize and providing evidence, seem to me vastly more genuine than the ones that are sent at Explained. So think of it this way. The people sending things to Theory seem like his friends telling him what's going on. The people sending things to Explained seem like strangers who heard about a problem. And in that regard, it makes me believe Theory a lot more. Also, the audacity to call Theory a grifter is honestly kind of funny. He started a company to make lightsabers, and he's putting out content that is just EU books in animated form. And the second one, mind you, I can go watch and don't even get charged for. How is that grifting? That is absolutely wild to call Theory a grifter. And a final piece of humor here for you. On change.org, which is the petition organization that I've been screenshotting and showing you, has a petition for Renew the Acolyte. That's the one that's under 75,000. It also has a petition to decanonize the Acolyte, which is at 23,000. So there's about as third as many people saying get the Acolyte entirely out of the canon as there are saying make a second season of it. So yeah, I just kind of thought that was funny. I doubt it's going to get a season 2. So anyways, that's it for the night. Y'all have a good night.